One Zambia, One Nation, thank you so much for joining us on the news desk. This is Amos Zulu. The top stories. African Development Bank injects over 15 million United States dollars at Nansanga Farm Block. Nsama district to be connected to the national grid. Plus, government to revamp Masasabi irrigation scheme in Itezitezi. Now the news in detail. The African Development Bank is set to embark on the rehabilitation works at Nansanga Farm Block in Serenje district at a cost of 15 million United States dollars. And Central Province Permanent Secretary Myuna Manakampwe, who spoke through Kabwe District Commissioner Lennox Shimwambwa, says government is also working on 50-kilometer stretch of roads in the area. Here's a report.
Development of Zambia's agricultural sector is key in achieving economic growth, poverty reduction and economic diversification. To achieve this, government, among other programs, is working to develop the Nansanga Farm Block in Serenje district in partnership with the African Development Bank.
As you are aware, sir, the farm block was opened quite over 20 years ago, but the occupancy rate has been very low. And then because of that, most of the agribusiness companies that are supposed to support them to provide services, such as financing, such as mechanization, have also not turned up because the volume of business is low. So the intervention by the bank is to ensure that we unlock that so that more farmers come back to their farms.
Mr. Bangwe highlighted some of the works to be done.
Then on productivity side, we are supporting the investors by helping them to open up their farms. I think we have targeted to open about 3,000 hectares by hiring a mechanization company to go in there and help them to clear the land so that they can find it easier to start planting their farms. We are supporting also the opening up of irrigation facilities. There is a dam, Musangashi Dam, which we are trying to raise the embankment so that it can impound more water, and then the investors can draw water from there and irrigate their farms. And then downstream of the dam, we are also planning to work with our colleagues to set up irrigation scheme downstream so that smallholder farmers and local people can engage in some irrigated farming there.
Kabwe District Commissioner Lennox Shimwambwa spoke on behalf of Central Province Permanent Secretary Myuna Manakampwe.
In a bid to develop the Nansanga Farm Block, government is rehabilitating the existing main road at a total cost of 27 million kwacha. Further, government has advertised for additional 50 kilometers of road within the farm block to be supported by the World Bank. The government will continue to engage bilateral partners to ensure the Nansanga Farm Block in Central Province becomes a model and a hub of agricultural production and productivity.
Kelvin Tembo for Zanis in Kabwe, Central Province.
Thank you, Kelvin, for that report. Now, Kasama Chamber of Commerce has urged the business community in the area to adopt alternative source of energy. Chamber of Commerce Secretary David Chanda says the current situation calls for innovation. More in this report.
As the country's power utility company, ZESCO continues to grapple with the challenge of electricity generation due to low water levels that has resulted in load shedding. The Kasama Chamber of Commerce has called on the business community in the district to adopt alternative sources of energy. David Chanda, who is Kasama Chamber of Commerce Secretary, says the problem calls for innovations among the business community.
It calls for us to begin to change, the way we do business. I think this is time that we need to invest in alternative sources of energy. And I noted not too long ago that government has removed duty from most of these in solar accessories. So I think it's time that small business people, especially those that are into, you are into hair salons, you've got a barber shop. I think it's time that we begin to think of using alternative sources of energy. I think that's the only way we're going to survive under these circumstances.
And some local businessmen and women have called on government to consider shifting investment in hydropower generation to the northern circuit.
Alternatively, government should shift the investment of hydropower from where they have invested to the northern part of our country, and it will be a good source to supply the whole country.
Meanwhile, a check on some business outlets in Kasama revealed that the 8-hour load shedding program has greatly affected the small-scale and medium entrepreneurs.
It actually affects the business because we actually operate during the daytime, and that's when we experience the load shedding.
For Zanis in Kasama, I am Patrick Kabwe.
And the Chipata Chamber of Commerce has called on the business community to adopt the use of alternative energy and reduce the overdependence on hydropower as a source of energy. This is in light of the ongoing load shedding the country is experiencing due to low water levels.
The business community in Chipata district has been urged to utilize other sources of energy amid the ongoing load shedding in the country. Chipata District Chamber of Commerce says the development will cushion challenges likely to be faced by businesses, particularly those that depend on electricity, such as salons and butcheries, among others.
So the challenge of power, the load shedding, it has brought a big challenge to the business people, especially those who are starting their business. They have gotten the CDF fund, they are into welding, and so look at the period of the time when they are going to be working, especially if the load shedding goes for 8 hours. They will definitely be affected. But what should be the way forward? The way forward should be that, as we are aware which time the load shedding will take place, why the ZESCO is giving us that time frame and that program in advance is for us to find an alternative solution.
Some traders spoken to in Chipata's Central Business District have not yet experienced the effects of load shedding.
We got information that starting from last week on Monday we would have load shedding, but for the past week and the beginning of this week we haven't experienced much of the load shedding. We had load shedding on Monday just for a few minutes. I think probably less than 10 minutes.
Here, no, load shedding hasn't started yet. We don't know why. They are not affected yet.
However, residential areas like Damview and Magazine compounds have reportedly seen a rise in crime rate due to the challenge. Meanwhile, the police service in the region is on hand to ensure peace and order is maintained. ZESCO Limited recently embarked on an 8-hour daily load shedding due to dwindling water levels in reservoirs as a result of the prevailing drought. Olivia Nkata, Zanis News, in Chipata District, Eastern Province.
In other news, Northern Province Permanent Secretary Bernard Mpundu says phase 1 of the connection of Nsama District to the national electricity grid has advanced. Mr. Mpundu says the project being implemented by the Rural Electrification Authority REA at a cost of 17 million kwacha is expected to be complete by June this year. Geoffrey Piri brings us more in this report.
From the time Nsama was declared a district in 2012, the Central Business District, CBD, has never been connected to the national electricity grid. The only place with power in the district is in Nsumbu, which is near Nsumbu National Park. But government, through the Rural Electrification Authority, REA, is implementing phase 1 of the electrification project from Nsumbu to Mutundu at a cost of 17 million kwacha. Northern Province Permanent Secretary Bernard Mpundu, who visited Nsama District, explains about the project.
By June, phase 1 will be completed, and we are happy that they are moving on time. They are very strict with time. The contractor who is doing the work is doing very tremendous work, which needs commendation. Phase 2 is starting next year.
The second phase, which will involve the connection of Nsama Central Business District from Mutundu, a distance of about 60 kilometers, is expected to be implemented in 2025. The local leadership in Nsama is forward-looking and has already started preparing for the implementation of the second phase.
Once electricity reaches us here, we should be able to connect to the community because RIA is only going to do the main grid along the road. So we are already planning that we should start setting up poles in the communities.
For now, government departments and the people in the CBD will continue to use solar power until the implementation of the second phase. Geoffrey Piri reporting for Zanis in Nsama district.
More than 100 children at Chalumbe Primary School in Chipangali district have benefited from the financial literacy sensitization program conducted by the Securities and Exchange Commission. Take a look at this report.
These are pupils at Chalumbe Primary School in Chipangali district being sensitized on the importance of financial literacy conducted by a team from the Securities and Exchange Commission. The pupils have received various lessons under the financial literacy program, ranging from scammers and the importance of saving. Mubanga Kondolo is the team leader and gives insight on the holding of the sensitization program at the school.
We're here at Chalumbe Primary School as part of the Financial Literacy Week commemoration, which was launched on the 18th of March earlier this week. As you may be aware, this is an annual awareness and sensitization campaign which aims to enhance financial literacy levels of children, youths, as well as adults with regards to financial education. And it does fall under the auspices of the National Strategy on Financial Education for Zambia. We are very glad to be here to be inculcating values on financial literacy, which are very cardinal for our young learners. And the primary objective really is to promote prudent financial decisions and how positive outcomes can be promulgated from an early age. So we have interacted with the kids, as you can see there. We are also sharing some educational tools which can aid the learning for our young learners and just for them to better appreciate some of these key financial concepts that we have.
Chalumbe Primary School head teacher Richard Mbewe commends the commission for the gesture.
Today we were privileged to host Financial Literacy Week here. We were visited and we really benefited a lot. I think that the children have learned a lot. They have learned on how to save money. And you know, when a child learns to save money when he's young, that will be much better, because when he grows, you understand that not all money that is earned is meant to be spent. And the importance of saving money is to make it grow. And it is only when the money grows that someone can actually do something important, something tangible. And the most important of all things that somebody can do after saving money is to invest it so that the money keeps on growing.
And the pupils are happy with the various lessons received from the commission. Sylvester Shimba for Zanis in Chipangali District, Eastern Province.
And in a related development, World Vision Zambia and the Ministry of Education in Pemba District have partnered to promote financial literacy and the importance of saving among learners. World Vision has distributed financial literacy manuals to schools, equipping pupils with skills like budgeting and savings.
This Financial Literacy Week, World Vision Zambia and the Ministry of Education in Pemba have partnered to promote financial literacy in schools by holding activities to showcase how saving, even in small amounts, can transform lives.
We save little by little, and when it's time to share, I use the money to buy school supplies like books, pens, and other needs.
But financial literacy is not just for school learners. Constance Mwemba, a resident of Hamaundu Chiefdom in Pemba District, is a great example.
Saving has given me the power to be financially independent. I now own over 40 goats, and look at my house. These towers are a dream come true.
With the help of World Vision, over 150 savings groups, both young and old, have been empowered.
We're very proud as World Vision to be associated with its Financial Literacy Week. One of the things that we are doing in the sector of financial literacy is the aspect of financial inclusion, especially within the rural communities. We've got about 150 saving groups that are existing and active, with about 1 million kwacha circulating within the communities. Most of these monies have been used to engage in some kind of business activity and also expand existing businesses.
Through financial literacy books distributed to schools by World Vision, pupils will learn valuable skills like budgeting and saving that will empower them for years to come.
As World Vision, we're even able to print out some financial literacy materials. Right now, we are proud to have given out over 60 books to Demo Primary School to ensure that we cement the core of government of ensuring that financial literacy is promoted in schools.
And the Minister of Education in Pemba has commended this collaborative effort.
We are grateful to World Vision for their generous donation, talking about financial literacy to our school here. I want to implore on the teachers to make sure that these books be utilized.
The theme for this Financial Literacy Week says, protect your money, secure your future. Chintu Nangamba, Zanis in Pemba, Southern Province.
Government says it desires to have a defense force that is agile and responsive to the needs of the nation. Minister of Defense Ambrose Lufuma says government is determined to ensure that the men and women in uniform are provided with the necessary tools and resources for efficiency and effectiveness. Mr. Lufuma was speaking at Chiwoko, Zambia National Service Training School during the pass out of over 660 recruits.
They have joined the file and ranks of the Zambia National Service, ZNS. These are 665 recruits of Intake 26 of 2023 that have passed out at Chiwoko Training School. The recruits have also been trained in basic agricultural skills, as farming is one of the major activities of the ZNS. Minister of Defense Ambrose Lufuma, who graced the event, said government is committed to significantly raise the number of uniformed personnel in all the defense wings.
What we are witnessing today is part of the larger New Dawn government's program of consistently undertaking recruitment exercises to not only enhance defense capabilities, but also their economic involvement and level of contribution to national development.
And ZNS Commander Lieutenant General Mariti Solochi urged the officers to remain disciplined.
As we deploy you, go therefore and exemplify our motto by sweating for motherland. In a lot of our infrastructure, production fields, agriculture, road projects, in various service industries, as well as in vertical and horizontal commercial infrastructural development engagements. As you engage in all those assignments, remember, ours is to be loyal to our Commander-in-Chief of the Defense Force, who is also our Republican President, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, and support the government of the day. Know that the military is not a platform for partisan politics.
Meanwhile, the commanding officer at the training school says the recruits have been drilled in all fundamental military courses.
May I also mention that these recruits were equipped with basic agricultural skills. This was done to prepare them for one of the major activities of the Zambia National Service, which is agriculture production. I can confidently report that the recruits passing out today are adequately prepared, both physically and mentally, to undertake any service and national tasks that may be assigned to them.
This is the first military intake to be trained at Chiwoko Training School. Mutinta Mwemba, reporting for Zanis in Kasenengwa District, Eastern Province.
Thank you so much for still staying with us. You're watching Zanis News. And one of the stories making headlines in our news, Southern Province Minister Credo Nanjua says government will consider revamping the Masasabi irrigation scheme in Itezitezi district as a long-term measure to promote winter maize in response to the changing climatic conditions. Speaking when he toured the infrastructure, Mr. Nanjua has emphasized that government will also rehabilitate non-functional irrigation facilities in the province. We bring you more in this report.
Of what should have been a thriving farming settlement. Despite its establishment in the early 2000s, farming activities here have not taken shape due to lack of irrigation facilities. A walk around Masasabi farming settlement in Ntezitezi district reveals dilapidated dam and irrigation infrastructure, which was meant to supply water in this farming settlement in a bid to promote irrigation-led farming. This state of affairs remains a concern to the community in this settlement. Ernest Melele is Department of Agriculture Technical Officer. He too explains some of the challenges here.
In 2010, there was an idea that came up through the Minister of Agriculture that an irrigation scheme be established. So basic works were done and then construction work started. Unfortunately, when the system was supposed to be commissioned, there were some few works that remained, that is plumbing works. Because of the time lapse, even the erosion that has taken place on the spillway has actually increased.
Now, Southern Province Minister Credo Nanjua has assured of government's endeavor to rehabilitate infrastructure in this settlement.
A project like this one, we are looking at it in the long term. What is it that we need to do so that in the next 1 year, this situation is different? So we are committed to respond. We have heard the PS. We are communicating with our officers also in Choma to see what is at stake, pulling resources from everywhere.
Liseli Simusole, Zanis, Ntezitezi, Southern Province.
And lastly, in our news, Young Emerging Farmers Initiative, YEFI, is exploring opportunities aimed at supporting youths in agriculture enterprise development in Luampa District. YEFI Executive Director Richard Kachungu has told Zanis that the organization is dedicated to establishing a space for young people to thrive in the agriculture sector. Meanwhile, Luampa Town Council Chairperson Martin Sachienge says the local authority is ready to collaborate with YEFI in reviving the stored honey and cassava processing plants to support youths.
The value of involving young people in agribusiness is increasingly acknowledged as a key strategy for creating employment opportunities and fostering the growth of the agricultural sector. Against this backdrop, the Young Emerging Farmers Initiative is committed to empowering young people in Luampa District by exploring opportunities such as the cassava and honey value chain.
Potential for these projects to actually be stimulated for just a little bit of a push, and I think it can run and benefit the beneficiaries, especially young people, since that's our focus. We are also looking at the cassava, given that this area is pretty much as a comparative advantage in terms of producing cassava. So I think that's also a leverage point for YEFI to see how best we could stimulate the infrastructure that we've found.
Luampa Town Council Chairperson Martin Sachienge underscored the need to shift the mindset of young people towards agriculture and encourage them to take it as a business.
In the country. So if such a generation will come in, the growth of productivity which is going to grow the economy, not only for Luampa but for the entire country. Not only that, it's also going to change the mindset of our youth. Instead of just lazing around the roads and the markets, to be able to produce something which is going to change the level.
Meanwhile, the youths had this to say.
Katuna kulomba kulini mwase kututala yetu mayuthi ingamu wani muku tukwa sela ingatu wanene tumutu kwa saku wanena mubika nozimbongo na kupanga ma business dasa muna kuwa na mayuthi wingi bamana kuyana kuibila bantu na kulingabika mufamwa hii mbako saku wanena nozimbongo.
Amujolwe Himambo, reporting for Zanis in Luampa District, Western Province.
That item brings us to the end of the news. Here now is a reminder of the top stories. African Development Bank injects over $15 million United States at Nansanga Farm Block in Sama District to be connected to the national grid. Plus, government to revamp Masasabi irrigation scheme in Itezi. You can log on to our website, zanis.gov.zm, or our Facebook page, Zambia News and Information Services, to access these and many other stories. On behalf of the entire production team, my name is Amos Zulu. Enjoy the rest of the programming. Bye-bye.